Oh,
Hello, Hillary. How are you?
fine, thank you. Good afternoon.
Exciting week we've had this week, Hillary. Oh my goodness. News, news, and more news. Marketing Moms Trinidad is just moving and booming. Um, Today we're going to talk about the book review on Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki from the point of view of the business person, the entrepreneur, or the person who's just looking to figure out how to find the opportunity that is right in front of them.
Yes.
Make sense?
Yes, it does. Yes.
Right. So from that little intro that I did just now, what is words are buzzing and what thoughts are buzzing in your head?
Well, I think whenever I think of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and I actually just recently, again, I recommended it to a friend of mine who you would think from her background, right? Her family, they're an entrepreneurial family. You would think that, okay, she has this inside of her already, this entrepreneurial spirit, because it's all around her. And it's coming to recommending that book to her for her to get it in her that yes, this is something that's possible for her, because she sees it as something that, okay, it's her dad, her brother, her other siblings who can do this entrepreneurial thing, but not her. So that even a person who grows up in Robert Kiyosaki's environment of the rich dad, it's not necessary that they would have been taught the necessary skills to say, okay, I personally can do this, and that is the difference, that his book really pushes people to the extent for you to think that this is a possibility for me as an individual. It's not just somebody out there who has the money or whose family has been doing this for a long time. It is, I personally have the ability to become an entrepreneur. And I am the one that has to choose whether I want it or not. So
Excellent.
that's kind of what I was talking to her about,
Mm-hmm.
which I found so strange, her coming from a family of entrepreneurs,
It has a business. Yes.
Yes,
So she missed that. She missed that. It's a life lesson,
yeah,
like you and I were discussing before. Robert Kiyosaki book, Rich Dad Poor Dad. It's really a thought-provoking book that helps you to understand that you are the one who actually keeping yourself back. And from that example that you just spoke of, she kind of falls into the category of the person who is afraid of taking risk, who is afraid of, maybe even afraid of being successful, because when you're successful, you have responsibilities.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, you do.
Um, Seeing that your father and your brothers are successful, I mean, I've been asking myself that question for like many years. And the big reason why I couldn't do anything in the business world is because I'm a mom, right? And so, therefore, in a sense, it didn't exactly stop me from thinking, how can I become an entrepreneur? How can I run a business? The question in my head was always, how can I be successful? And so therefore it led to, well, what do I want to be successful in? So for my being at home, I satisfied it with, I wanted to be a successful mom. And so therefore it was easy for me to say, okay, then we have to learn to do this, and you have to learn to communicate better, and you have to learn to speak better. You have to learn how to speak so that you could influence your children.
Right.
And then, of course, as the children started going off, and you're in a different stage of your life where I can actually pay more attention to doing something that would bring in income. And so, therefore, being an entrepreneur started to say, okay, I can be an entrepreneur because I read Robert Kiyosaki's book. And But it was like, okay, well, how am I going to be an entrepreneur? Because I still need to be at home, and I still want to be able to jump on a plane and go visit my children, because they're kind of all over the place.
Right.
So so therefore the question of how should actually be, it should actually be in your head. And that's what Robert Kiyosaki's story of him going through his experiences in life as a young boy, because he started at about 9 years old, is when the first question that came to him, well, I want to make money, I want to be rich. So question is, how do I make money? And that's the question that his rich dad told him, how I'm going to make money. So in his little 9-year-old brain, he started thinking of, well, how am I going to make money? So of course he started the illegal way, which we talked about in our first video on the book review. So really the biggest concept anybody should take away from Rich Dad Poor Dad is to get out of thinking like a poor person, thinking like putting assets under your belt which are really liabilities, and being afraid to take risk, and being afraid of whatever it is you're afraid of, because only until you start doing something do you actually see your fears materialize. Because most of us make excuses, but we really don't know why we have excuses and what we are actually afraid of, and what the excuses are preventing us from facing.
Very true, very true. Even this weekend, I just going through a kind of self-examination, I realized yet again what excuses I was putting up for doing certain things that are going to yield the type of success, that result that I'm looking for. And it is, as you said, it's a mindset book. Now, a lot of books, they say they're mindset books, but there's some books that are also very practical. But Rich Dad Poor Dad, it is really trying to shift your brain, as you said, from this poor mentality. And it's not to say, because for those who have read the book, and those who have read the book, who haven't, sorry, we're not saying that, okay, going to school, getting an education is the poor way. That's not what the book says. What the book wants you to do is figure out how to use that education to build yourself, to grow your business. That's what you need to do. The same way Bernie said her goal was to be at home. So she had to figure out how to have a business and still be at home. It's always about the how. It's not about letting life impact you, right? It's not about you just being on the ride. It's like, okay, the route is you go to high school, you go to college, you get a job, you get a mortgage, you buy a car, you retire, and then you try to figure out how to live on $500 a month. Right? That doesn't have to be your journey, or if inside of there your story is your company does some underhanded thing and your entire retirement goes, disappears into thin air, literally, you're left with what to do. And if you never ever thought of that possibility of converting your knowledge of what your education or whatever into a means for a business, then you're doing yourself and your family a lot of disservice, And even Bernie, we were talking about professionals, for example, right? Professionals, accountants, lawyers, doctors, they're using, in a sense, one may say, okay, well, they could naturally have a business, right? But as we know from Robert Kiyosaki's book, I don't know, was it this book or was it in Cashflow Quadrant? I can't remember.
Both books, but Cashflow Quadrant kind of goes deeper into the fact of having the business versus being the self-employed, which is the professional, versus having a business, which is the entrepreneur.
Which is the entrepreneur, right? So again, it's like, just because you're a lawyer, a doctor, an accountant, doesn't mean you own a business. It's what you're doing with that. And I've actually seen doctors start to transition, right, from being self-employed to being business owners, right? And that, I mean, that whole concept is taking what you know and then trying to leverage your time, because you could own your own business and be a slave to that business from now until thy kingdom come.
Until you retire.
until you retire. And then what happens when you retire? Your income disappears. But your income disappears because you stop working, right? So you need to, again, and it's the same principle as being an employee. Once you stop working, your income disappears, all right? As entrepreneurs, you are working to build income for the days when you can't work or won't be working or choose not to work, right? That's what entrepreneurs do. And that is the essence, you know, that I think, as you said, sometimes I don't want to call it a feel-good book because it's really not a feel-good book. What it does is it pushes you to the edge and says, are you going this route or are you going that route? It really forces you to choose. What do you want to do? Yeah, to wake up.
To realize the choices that you have made. And if you're not happy, then okay, then start thinking.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what was one of the points from the book, Bernie, that really got you shooken up?
Well, in particular, he works, or he talks about his experience of him waiting for the salary, and in his case it was 30 cents for 3 hours because he was being paid 10 cents an hour, and his reaction to that waiting, because his reaction was, I'm being unfairly paid, you should pay me more. And at that point in time, when I read it the first time, I had also read or viewed Jim Rohn's video on increasing your value so that you, instead of asking for more money, increase your value so that people would pay you. And when Jim Rohn said that, I was like, I don't know what he means by that. So when I actually read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, then it made sense, which is, you know, in a sense, I'm trying to tell you, our audience, is that you need to read more than one book in order to put all the pieces together.
Yeah.
So in Robert Kiyosaki's journey, he realized that working for 10 cents an hour, what his rich dad was trying to teach him was that working for money is not a happy place to be. And he wanted Robert Kiyosaki to understand the opposite side of how rich people, they work towards a goal, they work towards opportunity, they work towards, so they don't work for money. In other words, they don't exchange time for money. So going back to the example of your doctor, if a doctor is working for his hourly pay, patients come in, he gets paid, and the doctor wants to think, well, how can I leverage my skills? All right. Now he can do many different things, but until he asks himself the question, how can I leverage my skills to make more money from my skills other than just working for hours? The answer is not going to come to you. All right. So taking this example, we're going to say, let's say the doctor is thinking about, like, for instance, he likes to, or let's say, for instance, he doesn't like particular drugs, or he wants people to be educated more about the drugs, and so therefore finish this prescription. Because, you know, most of us take the prescription and we use like 60% of it and say, oh, I'm better, and they throw it away. They don't take any more. So he wants to educate his people to fulfill their prescription. And in doing so, he decides, he realizes, hey, you know, instead of me writing a prescription and sending them off to the drugstore, why don't I have a drugstore in my own office? So therefore he's building.
Mm-hmm.
He's now gone into another business that he can do. All right. So that's just, you know, when you start, the question comes and you try something, and then the bigger answer comes later on, or the opportunity will show itself. And that's what Robert Kiyosaki points out in many parts of his book. The opportunities are all around. It's just a matter of, are you asking yourself the proper questions so that the opportunity reveals itself to you? Because he was in his shop working for his 10 cents. And when he went into his rich dad to complain that 10 cents wasn't worth his time and his effort, is after much discussion, he actually ended up at the end of discussion with no pay. And he was like, huh? Did I get gypped? You know? But what his rich dad was trying to teach him is to not work for money. All right? So in his endeavors now, so he goes on and he's thinking about it, and he's talking it over with his friend, and they're thinking about it and they're talking about it. And that is when the opportunity of the comic book business
Came about, yes.
came about, because he wasn't seeing it all the time. So in the same sense, until you go after, until you start taking action, until you start doing things, you're not going to realize the bigger opportunities and the better opportunities. And like for Hillary and I, we operate businesses out of home. And the main focus is, how do I spend more time with my family while working from home? So if you keep that question in mind, then the skill that you have, or that you realize that you have, is going to work for you. And that is where your true opportunity is. Like for instance, me last week, I went to this leadership thing on Friday, and everybody was talking about the issues of the women in the workplace. And I'm like, I don't know what they're talking about. I mean, either you deal with it or you don't deal with it, you know? Either you like it or you don't like it.
Exactly.
When I made a point about, you know, the important thing is that you're happy, whatever you're doing. So don't gripe about it. Don't complain about it. If you don't like it, leave. You know? If you like it, then find a better way to do it, you know?
Exactly.
So, right. So that was my...
That was your rant.
That was my...
That is what I mean. What was interesting is that I'm a slow reader, for those who don't know. And so when I was actually reading that portion that you're talking about there, I started reading it and I thought to myself, aha, I know what he's going to do. He's going to negotiate for higher pay. And as I read through, I realized what it was leaning towards. And I thought to myself, look at that I was still in this mindset of employee, because I thought to myself, well, why did he settle for such a low pay anyway?
Zero.
Right? And ended up with zero. But you know, actually, almost a year now being at home, what I realized is that it is very important to know how to work for nothing, because what you're really working for is a goal. As you said, Bernie, it's a vision. To work for no monetary money, actually for nothing monetary, it means that there is something higher that you're working towards. And that is what keeps you going. Because for all business persons out there, you know that you do turn a profit for a good while. Okay? 5 years, minimum 5 years, right? Minimum. So you do turn a profit. And there are people who they jump into business and they want to see profit from. Actually, a friend of mine called me Friday. She called me Friday. She said, Hillary, what am I doing wrong? I just launched my business. I put some ads on Facebook. Monday, 0 sales. And I thought to myself, you didn't even give it 7 days, right? So this is the, you can't go in there thinking it's gonna happen like magic. And that is what I got from that chapter, that story. That you have to be patient, and that is something in business that I have learned a lot of patience myself, right? And it's thanks to these type of examples, these books, that they talk about. You doing the same thing over and over and over, and then all of a sudden one day you're going to see results, and you want to know where those results came from. When you look behind you, you'll see 2 years of effort, right? Or 4 years of effort. That's where the results came from. So, and that the entrepreneur has to know. Is that our timer?
No, sorry.
That's 5-minute warning.
Sorry. Yes, that's our 3-minute warning.
3-minute warning, right? So the entrepreneur has to be able to know before those 3 or 4 years have passed that I am going to have to put in a lot and get near zero results. But that's okay, because what I'm putting out there is going to give me results in the future. Paying it forward. Yes, because there's a goal that you're working towards. It's not about you working towards money. And we talked about that last week with the vision.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, and we have a question here that's asking us about Robert Kiyosaki. He says every time they hear Robert Kiyosaki, he talks about something called a cash flow quadrant. So would you like to explain that? And because he says he doesn't understand it 100%.
Okay. Well, I have how much minutes?
1 minute.
1 minute. Okay. So very quickly, the cash flow quadrant, if you could imagine a quadrant, I'm going to just divide it like this. You got E, which is employee, S, self-employed, business owner, and then investor. And basically what the quadrant said is that 90% of the wealth is on the business owner, and there it is. Wonderful. So you got E, S, B, and I. 90% of wealth exists on that. I don't know which side that is. That's my right side, right? I'm an engineer, don't worry, we don't know about these things. So 90% of the wealth in the world falls within business owners and investors, but it only holds 10% of the people in the world. 90% of the people in the world hold less than 10% of the wealth in the world, and they are employees and self-employed, right? So when we talk about either having a job or owning a job, that is either the doctor who works in a hospital or the doctor who has his own practice but hasn't converted it into a business, right? And then the business owner is somebody who is using a system or leveraging something to leverage their time in order to earn money. And then the investor is really putting money to work. You're investing in stocks, investing in bonds, investing in real estate. And Robert Kiyosaki goes into a lot about investing in real estate. So that is something that you could follow up on with him. So Bernie, was that fast enough?
That was very good. Let me see where I have the movement. I have the movement of because people need to go
from employee to self-employed.
Exactly.
Yes, because you can't, from a mindset standpoint, there's no possible way you can move from employee to business owner. Because what happens is when you're an employee and you move down to that self-employed, what starts to happen is that you realize everything that is actually required for a business. And that is when you start to figure out, okay, I need systems in place. I need, because as an employee, it's amazing how when you move from employee to self-employed, you realize that, you were bad talking your boss for no reason. Because your organization has so many things taken care of that you don't even know about until you start to work for yourself. And you realize that you are the HR department, and you are the cleaning department, and you're the delivery department, and your quality control, and you're also sales, and you're marketing. So when you get into that self-employed position, now you're realizing, oh, I need systems in place to help me.
Right. So
Right.
then you go into the business owner side.
That's when they get into the business owner side. And then as a business owner, it's only a natural transition once you start making profits within 5 years, well, greater than 5 years. That's when you start in reinvesting those profits of your business into other investments, whether it be real estate, whether it be stocks and bonds, whether it be other businesses. All right. So that's the movement. And we are like down to, that's it.
30
We're
seconds.
done. 30 seconds. So this has been, I don't know if Bernie could unshare her screen so we can say bye to her. But
Okay.
this,
Where do I get that again? Unshare. Let me see.
yeah. So this has been Marketing Moms
Oh
Trinidad.
my gosh, I did it. I did it.
This has been Marketing Moms Trinidad. I am Hillary, and this is right. Thank you for joining us today, and thanks for that great question, because that's always a challenge, right? Understanding that flow. Okay, so we will see you next week, same time, same channel, where we will be. Where we? What month are we in? We are in
discussing how a professional degree does not give you
a professional lifestyle, right? Okay then. Bye for now, everyone.